A warm and special welcome to our special coverage of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I'm Amarachi Ubani in Lagos. First, the headlines. Explosions heard in the early hours of today in the Russian city of Belgorod, north of Ukraine. EU ministers will hold emergency talks today as the bloc strives for united response to Moscow's demand for payment of gas in ruble. Plus, US First Lady Jill Biden to visit Romania and Slovakia this week and show support for displaced Ukrainian families. Let's get into it. We begin this morning with reports first about a fire that broke out at a Russian defense facility near the Russian border with Ukraine, followed by several explosions. This happened overnight in the city of Belgorod. The regional governor, Oblast Gladkyov, said at least one person was injured while several houses were destroyed in the attack. It's also being reported that there may have been a weapons depot that may have caught fire, as there have been secondary explosions heard, possibly ammunition exploding in the heat of the fire. It's not clear what caused the fire, and there's been no official comment from the Russian Defense Ministry yet. Last month, Russia accused Ukraine of a helicopter attack on a fuel depot in Belgorod, for which Kyiv denied responsibility. Russia has also accused Ukrainian forces of shelling villages and firing missiles at an ammunition depot. In Luhansk region, the governor there says intensive Russian shelling has killed 3 civilians. The deaths occurred in the towns of Lishansk and Popsana and Zolote. Governor Serhiy Hadai said on Telegram the Ukrainian-controlled part of the region had 18 incidents of shellings on May 1st that ruined at least 28 buildings. Meanwhile, the regional military administration in Zaporizhzhia says 2 people have been killed, 4 injured as a result of shelling in the town of Orikhiv. A statement from the office of the regional military administration said occupiers hit high-rise buildings and 4 people were taken to hospital. 2 more died from shrapnel wounds. He said Russian troops carried out assault operations in the area, while the area of Poloi, Russian forces set up an ammunition depot and a local hospital and forbade staff to provide medical services to residents. The Ukrainian military is suggesting Russia could have sights on attacking Moldova in the near future. Intelligence sources reported by the BBC to have been gleaned from the UK's Times newspaper say an invasion of Moldova would help Russia threaten the Ukrainian city of Odessa from the west. They reportedly say Odessa would be an easier target if Moscow controlled Moldova and the Moldovan army only consisted of a few thousand troops. Tension has already been rising in the pro-Russian Moldovan breakaway region of Transnistria, where there's been a series of unexplained explosions. All of this is going on as scores of civilians are finally able to leave Mariupol, even from the Azovstal steel plant. The civilians were evacuated on Sunday from the bunkers of Mariupol's Azovstal steelworks after the United Nations and International Red Cross led a deal to ease the ordeal of the most destructive siege of the war in Ukraine. Russian forces have pummeled the port city for nearly 2 months, turning Mariupol into a wasteland with an unknown death toll and thousands trying to survive without water, sanitation or food. The convoy had traveled 230 kilometers to reach the steelworks. Following the evacuation, some eventually arrived in the village of Bezimen, in an area of Donetsk under the control of Russia-backed separatists, around 30 kilometers east of Mariupol. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the first group of civilians evacuated from Mariupol's Azovstal steelworks will arrive in Zaporizhzhia on Monday morning. This weekend, he had received another U.S. delegation led by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who said they were there to say thank you for fighting for freedom. Speaking about the visit in Poland on Sunday, Ms. Pelosi said America stands with Ukraine until victory is won, and another message for the Ukrainian president about bullies.
Do not be bullied by bullies. If they're making threats, you cannot back down. That's my view of it, that we're there for the fight. and you cannot fold to a bully.
Still on Sunday, Russia's defense ministry confirmed the military struck a military airport near Odessa with high-precision missiles, destroying an arsenal that contained weapons and ammunition supplied by the US and European countries and damaging the airport runway. Another high-profile visit to Ukraine also took place on Sunday. US actor and UNHCR Special Envoy Angelina Jolie had to make a hasty retreat from a railway station in the city of Lviv as sirens rang out. She had been visiting displaced children at the station. And dozens of civilians from Mariupol have arrived at temporary accommodation following the evacuation from bunkers in the Azovstal steel plant, all thanks to the UN, the International Red Cross, leading a deal to ease the ordeal of the most destructive siege of the war in Ukraine. The UN says an operation to evacuate people from the steel works had been underway since Friday. Sunday confirmed the safe passage operation was ongoing at the steel plant in coordination with the ICRC and parties to the conflict. This morning, the Mariupol City Council says 2 additional locations will house refugees coming from the besieged city. Authorities will go to 2 villages on Mangush, which is west of Mariupol, and a village near Berdyansk in the southeast of Ukraine. A member of Ukraine's National Guard says hundreds of people still remain in bunkers in the besieged Azovstal steel works in Mariupol and will require at least 2 more evacuation efforts to get everyone out. Those who've been evacuated have been recounting their experience and how they almost lost hope of ever being taken out of there alive. One woman said she had not seen sunlight for 2 months. Let's speak now to security expert Chidi Nwonu, who joins me from London. Chidi, great to see you. Would you consider the evacuation of civilians from Mariupol progress on the part of international efforts in this war in Ukraine?
Hi, good morning, and thank you for having me. Yes, I would think, just purely from a humanitarian point of view, it's a sign that diplomacy is working. The intervention of the UN has clearly helped. So this was a UN ICRC operation. It's positive, as I said, from a humanitarian point of view. From a military point of view, I think for the Ukrainian side, it's less positive because this obviously means that the Russians, even though they've not been holding back so far, can go much harder and much deeper against the Azovstal works. But hopefully, by the end of this process, all the civilians within the steel works will be evacuated. And unfortunately, as I said, from a military point of view, that will then be a fight to the finish. And it will be seen if the Ukrainians are able to negotiate safe passage for the remaining